Where the shovel now? Take the shovel, do the side now. You know will break.
You know by the side.
what you put there.
You don't know the way they bury am. They dig am make they talk.
It's a recent now. Look at the. It's fresh.
Nigeria is becoming a scary country to live on. Everywhere you could turn your face into is either crime or violence. Now, in this particular video, here comes another different story of a pastor pursuing his own ambition to become a prophetic big papa. You know, in Nigeria, your charismatic level of people believing in your spirituality is the amount of the congregation that you command. If your church is petty, like really little, no matter how sincere you are, they believe the hard work of God is not there. But if you command a legion, even if everybody there are sinners or the pastor is committing all kinds of atrocity, people believe that you're a real man of God as long people are giving all kinds of testimony and the truth, of course. Now, this particular guy you're about to watch went beyond to do what other pastors that have not been caught are doing in order for him to become a very popular and powerful pastor. But unfortunately, he was arrested along the process. I want you guys to watch this story.
On the night of June 11, 2018, at around 10 p.m., two men walked into Hollywood Hotel in Okene, a well-known hangout spot for commercial sex workers in Adafi local government area of Kogi State. The men were Samuel Oluwasegun and Abdulmumini Yakubu, both natives of the same Adafi local government area of Kogi State. The two men appeared friendly and relaxed as they exchanged pleasantries with the hotel manager, a man known simply as Mohammed. Nothing about their behavior suggested that they were on a deadly mission. They looked like regular customers who had come to the establishment for the usual services offered there. After chatting with Mohammed, the two men made their way toward one of the commercial sex workers at the hotel. Her name was Mercy Moses, a 19-year-old woman trying to survive through sex work. The men approached her and began talking with her. Whatever they discussed seemed to have convinced Mercy to live with them. Witnesses at the hotel watched as Mercy got on a motorcycle with the two men and rode away into the night. Nobody knew that this would be the last time anyone would ever see Mercy Moses alive. One day passed, then 2 days. Mercy Moses did not return to the hotel. This was unusual because sex workers at the establishment typically stayed on the premises and rarely disappeared for days without informing the manager. Mohammed, the hotel manager, became concerned. Worried about her safety, Mohammed decided to report the matter to the police. He went to a nearby police station in Adavi and filed a missing person report. The case was serious enough that it was quickly transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department in Lokoja, the state capital. The police immediately began their investigation, and what they would eventually discover would horrify everyone involved. The homicide detectives at the state CID were experienced officers who knew how to handle serious cases. They began by tracing Mercy's last known movements. The trail led them back to the two men who had taken her away from Hollywood Hotel. It did not take them long for the police to track down and arrest Samuel Oluwasegun and Abdulmumini Yakubu. When the officers brought them in for questioning, both men firmly denied knowing anything about Mercy's whereabouts. They claimed they had no idea where she was or what had happened to her. But the detectives were not convinced. They had dealt with countless criminals who denied their crimes, and they knew the signs of guilty men trying to hide the truth. The officers decided to intensify their interrogation, applying pressure and digging deeper into the suspects' stories. Finally, Samuel and Yakubu broke down, and what came out of their mouths left everyone in shock. The two men confessed that they had been hired to bring a female to someone who needed her for ritual purposes. They revealed that a pastor had promised to pay them a huge sum of 700,000 naira if they could deliver a woman to him. That pastor was Oluwasegun Otaru, the head of the Voice of Canaan Temple, Cherubim and Seraphim Church in Uzuri, Adavi local government area of Kogi State. According to their confession, Pastor Otaru had given them specific instructions. He told them to go and open a bank account where he would pay in the money after they had completed the job. The pastor needed a woman, any woman, for a ritual that he claimed would bring him wealth and prosperity. Samuel and Yakubu had agreed to do the job because of the money. 700,000 naira was a fortune to them, money that could change their lives. So they had gone to Hollywood Hotel, knowing that the commercial sex workers there were vulnerable and that nobody would immediately raise alarm if one of them disappeared for a few days. But the confession did not stop there. What the two men revealed next was even more disturbing and showed just how evil their actions had been. After picking up Mercy from the hotel, Samuel and Yakubu took her to a location where they could carry out their evil plan. But before ending her life, both men decided to forcefully sleep with her. The innocent young woman who thought she was simply going with customers for her usual services had no idea what horror awaited her. After they had violated her, one of the men strangled Mercy to death. But the horror did not end with her murder. According to Yakubu's confession, after Mercy was dead, he and another accomplice named Stephen, who was still at large, did something almost too disturbing to believe. They had sex with Mercy's corpse. When asked why they would do such a terrible thing, Yakubu explained that they believed sleeping with the dead body would protect them from any form of spiritual attack or consequences for their crime. After desecrating Mercy's body, the men then proceeded to dismember her corpse. They cut her body into pieces to make it easier to transport and dispose of the remains. They took out specific body parts that Pastor Otaru needed for his ritual. The men then took Mercy's dismembered body to different locations and buried the parts separately. Some of the body parts were buried inside the church premises itself, hidden inside a local pot inside the Voice of Canaan temple. The rest of her remains were buried in a shallow grave in an area called Uhodo in the same Adavi local government area. With the confessions of Samuel and Yakubu, the police now knew who was behind the murder. Pastor Oluwasegun Otaru was the mastermind, the man who had orchestrated the entire killing. But there was one problem. The pastor had disappeared. As soon as his accomplices were arrested, Pastor Otaru realized that it was only a matter of time before they began talking to the police. He had fled from his neighborhood, hoping to escape justice, but the police were determined to catch him. Using their intelligence network and investigative skills, the officer tracked Pastor Otaru's movements. They followed leads, gathered information, and slowly closed in on his location. Eventually, on June 19, 2018, the police caught up with Pastor Oluwasegun Otaru and arrested him. The man of God who had preached salvation and blessings to his congregation was now in handcuffs, facing charges of murder and conspiracy. Following the confessions and arrest, the police asked the suspects to lead them to where they had buried Mercy's body. Samuel and Yakubu took the investigators to Uhodo in Ugaminana area of Adavi. There, in a shallow grave, the officers dug up the torso of Mercy Moses. It was a heartbreaking moment for everyone present. The young woman, who had been full of life just days earlier, was now reduced to scattered body parts, buried in the ground like garbage. The police recovered Mercy's body in pieces, her head, her legs, her torso, and her hands. All the parts were gathered and taken to Okene General Hospital mortuary, where they were kept for autopsy. When Pastor Oluwasegun Otaru was finally brought in for questioning, he too eventually confessed to the crime. But his confession revealed even more disturbing details about his involvement in ritual murders and his desperate pursuit of wealth. The 45-year-old pastor admitted that poverty had driven him to commit the terrible crime. He explained that he had hoped to raise 2.5 million naira from the ritual money-making process. In his twisted mind, killing Mercy Moses was a business investment that would bring him wealth and also solve all his financial problems. Pastor Otaru confessed that he had learned the art and trade of money-making rituals from his master in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Many years earlier, he had been practicing these dark rituals for a very long time, trying different methods to achieve the wealth he desperately wanted. The pastor also made a shocking revelation. The murder of Mercy Moses was not his first attempt at ritual killing. According to his confession, this was actually the third time he was trying to perform such a ritual. The first two attempts had failed to bring him the money he wanted. Pastor Otaru explained that in his earlier attempts to get rich through rituals, he had used a different approach. Instead of murdering living people, he had gotten his raw materials from burial grounds. He would go to cemeteries at night and dig up dead bodies that had been recently buried. From these corpses, he would remove the specific body parts that his ritual required. He believed that using these parts in his ceremonies would bring him the wealth he desired. However, both times he tried this method, nothing happened. The rituals failed and no money came. After these failures, Pastor Otaru concluded that the reason his rituals were not working was because he was using body parts from people who were already dead. He decided that for the ritual to be successful, he needed fresh body parts from someone who was alive. This was when he made the evil decision to have someone killed specifically for his ritual purposes. This was when he contacted Samuel, Yakubu, and Stephen, and then promised them 700,000 naira to bring him a woman. Pastor Otaru was the leader of the Voice of Canaan Temple, a cherubim and seraphim church in Uzuri. He had a congregation of about 20 people who trusted him and believed in his spiritual leadership. These innocent church members had no idea that their pastor was involved in such evil activities. The church had been operating for many years, and Pastor Otaru had built a reputation in the community as a man of God. People came to him for prayers, blessings, and spiritual guidance. They believed he was a messenger of God who could help them with their problems. But behind the holy robes and religious prayers, Pastor Otaru was practicing dark rituals and also planning murders. The very church where people came to worship God had become a burial ground for the body parts of a woman murdered in cold blood. Mercy Moses' remains had been hidden inside a local port right there on the church premises. The police later confirmed that they had recovered Mercy's body in pieces and that all three suspects had confessed to the crime. They also revealed that they were still searching for the fourth suspect, Stephen, who had managed to escape and was on the run. The three suspects were charged in court for their roles in the horrific murder of Mercy Moses. However, there haven't been any reports on their convictions ever since then. What do you think should be done to people to stop believing that killing another person and removing their body parts would help them make money? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories.
Now you listen to this. Some of all these Jew, prophets, bishop, whatever titles it might be in the house of God, 90% of them, I mean the big ones, are not free or innocent from what you just watched. Recently, the body of Christ has been shaken. People accusing pastors, calling out pastors, pastors exposing themselves. They have subdivided. Some people don't just want you to talk about the truth, no matter how crime that they commit. They don't want you to talk about it. Imagine this man have not been arrested. Maybe 2-3 years later, his church is so massive, it's big. People giving all kinds of testimony. People sharing their testimony. The pastor have big cars. Now, maybe along the line, those bike men that lured this lady to this place now confess and said, this pastor paid us. Do you think any of the member will ever believe that their papa did this kind of thing? Or say that the papa buried something in the altar, go and verify. We did this with him. Nobody, not even any of you will believe. Even when people like us start calling them out and say, no, this kind of thing might be true, none of you will believe. And those that believe, most of you that are their followers will rebel against them and start calling them atheists, calling them pagans, all kinds of names. But I'm not making this video to take the context out of it that there are not genuine men of God. But most of you have turned your blind eyes away from where the good news is being preached, where the gospel is being shared, chasing the clouds of miracles. That's why you see today, pastor can bring caskets to the church to prove to you that he just raised the dead body, but he cannot go to the monk and raise the dead body.
Lazarus! Lazarus! Come forth! Grab! Come forth! Come forth! Grab! Come forth! Grab! Come forth! Grab! Come forth! Come forth! Hallelujah! Hallelujah! And Mary and
Pastors are bringing a lot of crushes to prove to people that he just healed the sick, but cannot go to hospitals to heal the sick. I'm not saying God don't perform miracle. God perform miracles in different mysterious ways that humans cannot even express or explain. Even when they do, people will not believe. But I'm saying that the challenges of how to get to that top is becoming alarming. All kinds of crime in Nigeria now, amongst the religion, amongst the political, amongst the society himself. Humans are no longer being valuable in Nigeria. Terrorists are doing their own, going to community, violating and buying a lot of people. Or no governments. I want to explain one thing, though this is not about religions or church. It's about simple question. I cannot feel the range that the government, like Tinubu government now, is not helping issue. The hunger in town is alarming. My people are just hungry. in order to send message to Tinubu, in order to prove to Tinubu that, oh, I'm tired, I want to make the country ungovernable for him, I will organize a troop or a gang and I will go after innocent, unharmed civilians in the village that are also passing the same thing that I'm passing through, and start buying them to send message to Tinubu who will never even care. That is what the terrorists or no government courtesan, a lot of people are doing in Nigeria these days. We are turning on ourselves to send or destabilize the country. Meanwhile, these politicians that we want to send message to, they don't even get inch of the heat. Not that their family are threatened, not that their children are threatened, not that they themselves are threatened. I'm not saying you should go and threaten them. I'm just saying that you cannot be fighting me by leaving me and my family alone, by going to the neighboring place and start buying people. You are thinking that it will affect me personally. That's stupidity. So let me not deviate you. I just want to add that to it. Now let's come back to the religious body. I don't know why everybody is fighting to have a large audience. If you have 2, 3, 4 genuine members, it's enough. But it's becoming all about money. All about money. If I tell you that this pastor and so pastor like this, and if I have to call out many men of God, all of you want to eat me up. That's why I respect Dr. Abe Damina. At the initial beginning, it was difficult for me to believe him. Anytime he preach, I feel like he hates these people. But our eyes are beginning to open to see the basic truths. But most of you are still far behind. You must unlearn to relearn and know the truth about what you are watching. Pastor will wear one coat for 1 year, 2 years. He will fed up. Now God really called me. That's because they believe once you're a man of God, you don't have to work. Offering and tithes is enough for them to live. That's where the genesis of this crime begins. Imagine all of you. You open a church, you are also hard working for yourself. Mainly you are making your money outside the ministry. You are making cool money outside ministry. It will not even be in your mind or thinking to start telling your member they have to be in church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like they have to be fellowship steadfastly every day. Because you yourself, you know that you have to be at work in the morning. Coming back in the evening, you also need rest. I'm not saying you shouldn't be at church, but there will be time limits for everything. But today, everybody wants to make money. That's just it. Everybody just need money. If I open church now, my church now, this one pay tithe, offering, and I call for altar call, seed, boom. Anyway, I ask my case here. What are your thoughts? I'm very interested in your own opinion regarding to the video you just watched. What do you think? And I'll be waiting for you guys in the comment section. I love you more. God bless you. Peace out.